looked at what I consider 6 critical points to address for a successful fitness ministry. Identify church demographics. Men, women, young, old, fit, not fit. Identify space, location, resources. Where they're going to do this. Identify programming needs based on the demographics. What kind of classes are going to have? It's going to dictate, space needs is going to dictate who teaches the class. Identify fitness talent. Who in your congregation has the ability to take on this role? Identify equipment needs. What are you going to need to have a basic fitness program that's going to encourage people to want to come and work out? Identify optimal class times and schedule. When can people do it? Morning, night, lunchtime, weekends? And this might seem like a no-brainer, but you really need to put this in perspective when you're putting this together, because you'll miss something. And then that piece that's missing is going to be the piece that causes the program to fail. So let's go over demographics. Average 60-year-old will not be motivated by TRX boot camp class. Not going to want to do it. Average 50-year-old will not be motivated by chair aerobics class. Average 30-year-old probably won't want to go to a jazz aerobics, jazzercise. The questionnaire, like I mentioned, captures data and helps you to understand your congregation's demographic concentration. You might have, 200 people, but the majority of them fit in a certain age range and a certain sex. And you need to kind of cater to that and then handle the outliers as you can. Because right now you only have so many resources, you need to affect as many people as possible. Understand who is going to benefit. Space, location, resources. Workout environment plays a key role in keeping people motivated. If I go to work out and I go in and it's dim and I can't see and it's depressing, I might not want to come back next week. Might not float my boat, even though I'm doing something good. That's just the way it is. So it's something to consider, even in investment. The American College of Sports Medicine recommends 45 square feet of space per user for an average class like Zumba, strength train, cardio dance, etc. So, based on my experience, I think that's kind of generous. I think you can get away with 35 square feet. I think they're looking at also where is it, if you're going to have equipment like weights and stuff like that, do you have space to store that stuff? But in terms of actually moving, so an example room size for a class of 20 people. Okay, you have 20 folks, you say, oh, I want to do that cardio dance class. It's going to do all 80s music. All right. 35 square feet for 20 people, your minimum requirement is 700 square feet. Do you have a room that can give you 700 square feet? And again, if it's 50 people, you got to change it. If it's 10 people, but keep that calculation in mind, because you want to have sufficient space and resources so people can move around and feel comfortable. I'd say between 700 and 800 feet for 20 people. Types of class programming. This is a fun little Zumba class. These folks having a good time. And notice there's a wide age range here. This is why I love Zumba, because so many people can do it and do it at their own level. So you don't, like if you're at boot camp, I mean, someone say you got to do 20 burpees, which is not a bad class. If your congregation wants a boot camp and you've got a lot of men, that's fine, but you're not going to get, these folks in here doing 20, 30 burpees. But you'll get these folks wide age range coming in to do cardio. Based on demographics and space, that's how you figure that out. If you have a smaller space, you might have to either limit the number of people or have a different kind of class. But again, something to consider. Types of classes. classes, you need a cardio class, which includes Zumba, includes dance, aerobics, kickbox, something that gets your heart rate up. That's for losing weight. Everyone, especially if they're in that 56%, 30 and above, needs to do some cardio. That's like going to get you to your goal. You need a strength training component. That's the piece we talked about that's going to help you stay at that goal, or help your metabolism so that you get to whatever your goal is that you've decided through the questionnaire. And lastly, a mind-body. Pilates, yoga, praise moves. These are all exercises, and actually Pilates deals a lot with the core, so it is much more, a little more muscular. But it is about understanding how your body works with your mind. Very important. So, based on demographics and space, if you could have one of each of these classes, you'll have covered everything. The problem with mind-body is that's a specialty in terms of people might not want to do it because they don't understand it, they don't know it, they've never done it. So that might be a harder thing to input, and yet I wouldn't do it unless you get enough numbers to do it because you don't want to waste your resources. But ideally, you'd like to have at least one of each of these types of classes so that everybody's needs are met. And again, if you have men, you got to do that boot camp at TRX. They're not going to do Zumba. They're not going to do it. And, you know, they have a different mindset. They want to build. They want to pump. And that's all right. And then you're going to give them that kind of class because that's what, you've got enough men that want to do that, and you want to get them in the church. You get them in the fitness program as well because, you know, they have a weight problem. So that's important. Special populations. If you have a lot of elderly folks in there, you want to provide chair room. That's just an aside. Top 3 genres focus classes on demographics. So within each one of these, know who's taking the class. Know the sex, know the age, know the fitness level. Always keep that in mind. Talent. Group fitness versus personal training. Group fitness instructor versus personal training. You've got a congregation. Somewhere in there, hopefully, you've got somebody who's got some skills. You know, maybe they teach group fitness somewhere else. Maybe there's, you know, maybe you have a personal trainer who, you know, has kinesiology experience or understanding the body. So let's tell the difference. A personal trainer focuses on 1 to 3 people. Provides targeted exercises for that group. So a personal trainer not necessarily going to have a group fitness perspective because he's used to working with one person, fixing that person, 2 or 3 people, and that is his focus, and that's great. A one-on-one conversation is great, but that's not what your resources are going to give you. They do assessments, they design individual programs for individual goals, and they do history and all that stuff, so they're much more hands-on. And if you have a personal trainer who can kind of get everybody who has that kind of knowledge to get folks set up before they start a program. So you have the demographics, you have folks who sign up. You want someone to assess them. What's your heart rate? Do you have high blood pressure? Do you have diabetes? What's your BMI? So that you have that professional viewpoint of each person. If you have a personal trainer, then you do that. That's great. Group fitness instructor. General exercise leadership. Understands a variety of exercise formats, provides safe, effective program designs for a group setting, knowledge of kinesiology, music selection, cueing, ability to modify exercises on the fly. A good point for designing classes for groups that consist of different levels. So, a group fitness instructor has to have rhythm. Music selection, cueing, they need to be able to keep everybody flowing and moving. So that's key. Ability to modify exercises. I'm doing Zumba, and I'm doing a move where I'm a samba. Okay, and the samba is a little more, intermediate because you have to move a little bit. And there are people who just say, I can't do that. My knees hurt. So you have to be able to go over to that person and say, well, here's your option. You have to be aware of your demographics in your class. A really good fitness instructor can do that. And that will save you from having 3 different levels of classes, because you'll have one person who understands different people have different abilities and be able to tend to them, and yet everyone gets something out of that class. Okay? So it's important people will come back to that. They'll come back to that class.
The other piece to this further improvement, fitness instructors love it.
Well, that's an understatement, yes.
I'm a group fitness instructor and a personal trainer. I love group fitness. I get so much energy from it. I got into personal training only because people asked me to. Can you train me? So I got certified. Group fitness, I love. I can do that all day long, every day.
We're on the same page. You're absolutely right. Because it's a mindset. Group fitness is someone who likes to perform. They like to get in front. They like to show. They like people to want to get involved and relate. So if you had to look at your congregation and say, who's going to make this a successful group fitness program, given the age, given that this is the room we have, given that, you know, these are the exercise classes we're going to offer, you start to look around, well, who's going to give you that success with everything else in place? Well, before I get to that, your instructor needs to be certified. I cannot emphasize this enough. You cannot have someone come in just because they do liturgical dancing and come in and say, well, I'm going to teach a class, because they're not going to have the ability to modify class, to modify, you know, people come over. They're not going to have the ability to understand when someone's doing something wrong and dangerous, okay? Or ability to understand, okay, this person is probably breathing too hard. Maybe she needs to take a break. So certification is just, it's an investment you've got to have a successful program. Certifications provide safety, motivation, and engagement tools. If you're certified, you're able to go over and get folks to, you know, put a little more into it if you see they got it. Tell someone else to, you know, slow down. If you're doing weight training, being able to go over and adjust someone's form. Because all of this fitness means nothing if you're not going to get the result. And the result has to be doing things correctly. I'm NAFA certified. It's probably one of the most popular certifications, so I'm going to focus on that. There are others. American ACE, American Council of Exercise, they're probably the premier certification because they cost the most. But AFA is recognized by almost every gym. And that's how you can tell the certifications were. There's a lot of certifying companies out there. But if gyms won't hire them because they don't recognize the certification, that's the red signal that maybe it's not going to be one that's going to be safe for your program. Mm-hmm.
How often does the certification have to be recertified every so many years? Or maybe one time you get certified and
you
you're
have to,
constantly doing it, you still have to get recertified?
well, with AFA, once you get certified, you have to do things that show you are keeping up. Right. So you have to go to maybe one or two, maybe a conference, maybe take a class somewhere local. They're called CEC credits, and you have to have so many per year. And it's good because it keeps you up on the industry and able to better serve your clients. I shouldn't say your clients, your ministry and the folks who take the class. So, yes, you do have to do that every so often. And that's how you keep that up.
But it's nowhere near as hard as getting the first.
First is the hardest.
It's just continuing education credits.
Right, it can continue to be CECs, you're right. And it takes like about a month or so. If you're dealing with someone who's never, done exercise before, this is like kind of a lead-up thing. You're giving yourself 2 or 3 months to put your program together so that when you place it out there and say, we got this program, it's shiny and nice, and this person's been certified, and you found the locations, and you've got the equipment, and so now you're ready to say, we've got a fitness ministry that's going to stand the test of time. AFA certification provides nutrition, weight management. It's just a lot of information. Group exercise program design. If I'm doing a cardio dance, how do I do, you have certain periods where you're doing high intensity, and certain periods where you let people go down a little bit low. You have to know that that's important. Because if you keep people up here, our class, they're not coming back. Okay? But if you keep people down here and they don't sweat a bit, they might not come back. So you have to have that gauge where people feel like there's hope. Essentials of teaching. Certification provides basic exercise standards and guidelines, motivation, choreography, cueing. So cueing is about, if I'm in class and I'm doing a grapevine, I need to know that I'm going to say something beforehand. I have to know that I'm going to be able to get the class to follow me and get something out of it. If I say grapevine as I'm doing it, no one's going to be able to follow. So your ability to get people on board with how you structured the class, what you're doing in the class, makes people feel like it's fun, they're into it, it's exciting, and they're able to do it. As opposed to like fumbling around saying, well, where's she, what? So again, mindset for rhythm, and I would say a little dancing, but knowing music as well. The other thing is, they have to know their music. You can't have someone in there having a class at 145 beats per minute, the music, and everyone's like this the whole time, just because the instructor feels like that's how the class should be. Because then she's not dealing with her class, and she doesn't understand that music too fast can be dangerous. This is what AFA certification teaches you, how to safely do things so that people get the response they want. Exercise selection, technique, alignment, performance, with or without equipment. Being able to go around to someone, if you're doing a squat, and someone's like this, being able to pull them in, know that there's a problem so that there's also safety in the class. Injury prevention, emergency response, and special populations. So you want that injury prevention, especially if you're dealing with an older population, you want people to come back and get a result. So where do you find your talent? Where do you find someone, because that's going to be a huge part of the success of your program. Identify talent in your congregation, if you can. Is there an existing group fitness instructor in there? That's like jackpot. A member of the liturgical praise praise dance group. They love to move. They enjoy dancing. They're already, ready to get in front and do something. So it's worthwhile to identify someone and get them certified. Okay? That is a ready source of talent right there. Personal trainer who's willing to get certified. Again, personal training and group fitness are different. So if you have a personal trainer there, they need to want to be in a group fitness mindset. I know a lot of personal trainers who think group fitness is like, especially the guys, for wimps. They don't understand that this is, something that is good for women, or it's just a mindset of, unless you're pumping iron and doing whatever, like group fitness stuff is, whew. So you need someone who, if they are personal training, has an understanding of the importance of working in a group. Lastly, can't find anybody, hire someone from the outside. Okay. AFA certification is about $300. Anybody who's certified has to have a CPR card. That card has to be renewed every 2 years. Pain in my behind. But, you know, it's important. I've never had a situation where I've had to use it, but, you know, God forbid. So that's a requirement as part of the cost of certification. Equipment. And I'm going over all the pieces because this is going to be an investment. This is not something you take lightly. Again, it's not something where you say, oh, well, let's start an exercise class and go down to the basement and everybody just go to the music and we're going to work out. Because again, like I said, you're not going to get longevity, you're not going to get engagement, you're not going to succeed. Equipment is a motivation. You've got to have some. You've got to have some. Basic. This tool assists members in reaching their goals, and it's available for those who wish not to get involved in group fitness. You might have some folks who say, well, I don't want to do that, but if the weights are down there, I'm going to work out. Okay, and that's fine too, because now you're dealing with another population that is going to get a benefit. Provides program diversity, a participation motivator. If you have, I call them toys, but weights, whatever, it makes the class different. It makes things different. Oh, now, you know, we were doing this, now we got the weights, now we got the tubing. Oh, if you have enough stability balls, oh, now I'm on the ball. So it just gives the class depth and diversity. This is the basics for any equipment needs, this is the way I see it. You need a range of weights, that's basic. You can get them at Walmart. Ranging from 2 pounds to 10 pounds. If you want to go bigger, because you got a bunch of, you know, guys there who really want to bulk up, you can do that. But I would say 2 pounds to 10 pounds is going to cover pretty much everyone. And you want to concentrate 3 pounds and 5 pound range. Mats for floor workouts. Got to have them. When you want to go down and do Pilates or ab stuff or stretches, you got to have. A couple of stability balls, 4 or 5. Not enough for a big class, but they're just nice to have for folks who just want to come down and work out. Stability balls are an amazing piece of equipment. They're amazing. I love working with them. They deal with core, they deal with strength. Anyone can do them. Wide ability levels. You don't have to be tip-top fit, but you can be tip-top fit. And it just works with everyone. So you can have 3 or 4 of those. They come in different sizes. You're good. Most importantly, you need storage space and security. You cannot have equipment sitting out if you don't want it to display. And you don't want to set up a program only not to have any equipment when it's time to use it. So you've got to have a space where you can store it, lock it, and be able to pull it out as you need. Okay? Optimal class times, again, that's part of your questionnaire. Morning, evening, lunchtime, weekends. If you have a lot of folks who are retired, lunchtime might be perfect. They have the flexibility to come at lunchtime or at 11 o'clock. Weekends, most people are going to, you know, it all depends on your demographics. Do you have a lot of mothers with kids? Weekends might be tough, you know, because they're carting kids around. So, got to include that.